Hello everybody, Old Hollywood Vintage Gal here, and today we're going to look at one of Hitchcock's favorite movies, Shadow of a Doubt. Released in 1943, it stars Teresa Wright as young Charlie and Joseph Cotton as Uncle Charlie. The story is about a young man who seems to be on the run from the law. He finds refuge in his family's home, which would be his sister, her husband, and her 3 children, Charlie, her younger sister, and brother. Everything seems to be going very well for the family until things start unraveling, where it seems that Uncle Charlie may be involved in something terrible. And when young Charlie, finds out what it is, things start to get very out of hand, and she soon realizes that the world that she thought was pretty decent at the time, she learns that things are not as pleasant as they seem to be, and that people can do things that she never thought they could do. So I want to talk a little bit about the actors portraying the characters. First, let's start with Teresa Wright as young Charlie. Young Charlie is one of my all-time favorite Hitchcock heroines. She's definitely in my top 5. She's very naive when we first see her. She's kind of in a slump because she thinks that life is just crazy, and she wants things to be a little bit more pleasant than what they are. So who should she call but her own Uncle Charlie, who happens to be her favorite and whom she was named after. She loves her uncle so much that she writes to him hoping that he will come to her, and luckily he does. She doesn't even have to write the letter. He already sent the telegram saying he was going to come. So therefore there's a bit of a connection between them, and once he comes, everything seems to be all fine and pleasant. However, the young, naive Charlie that we see at first becomes mature very quickly. When she finds out what horrific thing her uncle has done, she learns very quickly how things can change. And in turn, she changes. She changes from the hopeful, naive to the very strong, not so naive Charlie. She's not very trusting of her uncle at this point, and she pushes him away. And things just start unraveling very quickly at that point. She's very relatable. A lot of us do want something else in life. Most of us are very naive at first. And then there are some of us that actually go through something and we realize that not everything is as pleasant as we would hope to be. And unfortunately, we grow up. Okay, not unfortunately, but that's reality. We all grow up at some point. And this is what Charlie learns to do and has to survive. And she's also placed in a very bad predicament because she has to figure out whether or not to turn him in or to set him free. But either way, she wants him gone. She doesn't want him to hurt her family. And you really do side with Charlie. Even though at first we see this relationship and it's really sweet and it's the typical niece and uncle relationship, you kind of feel sad how fast it deteriorates after she learns the truth. But you also understand at the same time. Joseph Cotton was also an interesting choice for the role of Charlie. At this point, he had done movies such as I'll Be Seeing You with Ginger Rogers and Shirley Temple. He did a movie after this with Joan Fontaine. I think it was like The Other Woman or The Unknown Woman. I can't remember. And Citizen Kane. All those movies, he was actually playing the sweet, kind gentleman. And it's really interesting how he is placed in the role where he's actually the bad guy. He's a very charming bad guy, but he's a bad guy nonetheless. And it's very it's very interesting because if you look at actors like George Sanders and Vincent Price, who they look like they can play a good guy, they always were typecast as the typical cad, the bad guy, or the jerk. Joseph Cotten looked like he could play the bad guy. But it's weird if you see him in this and then see him in I'll Be Seeing You, because you're like, wait a minute, he looks like he could play a bad guy. Why is he in this movie? But he does a really decent job playing both. And again, he's very charming, and you kind of sympathize with him in a certain way up until a certain point in the film, and then you're just like, okay, go away, you jerk. But he does very well with the role, and he does have great chemistry with Teresa, and they both work off each other very well. They also did a movie, I think, after this, where they actually played husband and wife. I've never seen it, but it looks interesting. The side characters are also interesting. You have kind of a relationship going between one of the young detectives and young Charlie, which is kind of cute, but it's not the main focus of the story. The family is also your typical family in a way. You have the young children who are just, you know, kids. You have the mother who is very naive, very sweet, kind of bubbly. And then you have the father, who is your typical father who just comes and reads the newspaper. But he also talks with his neighbor all the time about how to kill each other. It's kind of what you would call dark humor, where they literally just say to each other, okay, this is how I would kill you. And the other guy's like, excuse me, that's dumb. This is how you kill somebody. And it's kind of funny. And I don't know, it's different. And a little trivia for you, the guy that played the father in this movie was also the angel Clarice. Or Clarence, not Clarice, jeez. Clarence in It's a Wonderful Life, which I had grown up with and seen before this one. There's not much else I can really talk about this movie. The cinematography is really good. I don't really have anything to say about the soundtrack. While most Hitchcock movies have very good soundtracks, this one isn't bad. It's just not memorable to me. But that's just me. I love the fashion. I really love Teresa Wright's costumes in this movie, and I really just want to dress like her. There is a good amount of suspense, which is very well done. And this one also doesn't rely on any blood and gore. In fact, you don't even see any killings. There's an attempted kill, but most of the killings you hear in this movie are heard about. And that's actually kind of interesting because it's all based on mystery and suspicion, and it's done very, very well. Bottom line, this movie is definitely worth a watch. It's one of my all-time favorites. It was Hitchcock's favorite, apparently, according to people I've heard about. And it's definitely a must-see. Whether you love old movies, suspense, or Hitchcock, definitely give this one a watch. So that is it for my review of Shadow of a Doubt. Leave your thoughts below in the comments and let me know what you would like me to cover next in my next video. And I will see you all later. Bye! Have a great, wonderful day.